The fires that damaged luxury houses in the holiday town of St. Francis Bay in the Eastern Cape are suspected to have been caused by a group of people smoking in the bush. At least 12 houses were completely gutted, while another 20 were damaged by the fire. Mop-up operations will get underway this morning. Authorities will assess the extent of the damage. All roads to the holiday village are open. However, members of the public are requested to stay away from the fire-stricken area as it may still be unsafe. Many people were evacuated. Our reporter Lerato Thipa is in the town of St. Francis Bay in the Eastern Cape and she joins us live now. Lerato, a very good morning to you. We understand the fire has been extinguished. Tell us about that.
Yes, the fire that started in St. Francis Bay has been controlled and is under control. It's actually the worst fire to have happened in St. Francis in the last few years. In 2012, remember, there was a fire that destroyed over 72 homes. But reports say that this is the second most biggest fire in St. Francis Bay. Earlier on, we talked to the owner of this house. I'll just stand back. This is what remains of his house. His name is Malcolm White. He's a resident here in St. Francis Bay whose house was destroyed in literally 10 minutes. He was walking to Spa, got a call that, quickly come home, the house is on fire. But what has really been remarkable and what we got from authorities is just the amount of teamwork and how residents here, it's actually quite a small community, St. Francis Bay, but what's been amazing is how this small community in just a short space of time has come together to try and really help people like Malcolm, whose houses have been destroyed, and a neighbor whose house didn't get destroyed but who's been here since when we arrived here is Barry Plate, who's been here trying to really help to pick up the pieces for Malcolm. We were chatting earlier on and you were saying that you don't really believe that this was caused by smoke. Could you just elaborate about that before we speak about what you were helping with earlier on?
Yeah, I've seen the test done with cigarettes and wind, and it's very, very difficult to start a fire with a cigarette. The fires that started here were, you can actually see from the aerial shots where they started, and there were two points where they started from. When I came here in the morning, we could smell the smoke, and we looked all around where the fire was, and there was a fire further over by the old dump, but that wasn't affecting it. And then there was a fire in the bush next to the road where Malcolm's house is, and we monitored it from here because it looked like it was going right past his house, and we were watering the roof with hose pipes and stuff to make sure that no sparks got on the roof. But then another fire started this side, and it came from that side. We didn't see it coming. It came from that side, and there was nothing we could do. It just went straight through the house and went down to the sea, basically, through the other houses.
Malcolm was saying on that the fire was up the roof, and if you just look quickly, if my cameraman can just pan up just to see how high this roof is. How were you guys able to just get here and try extinguish the fire when it was that high up, and how dangerous was it for you guys to try to do that?
Once it starts burning, you just have to leave. You can't put it out. It's the thatch roof. Once it starts burning, you can't do anything. You have to just leave. So when we were here earlier, the house wasn't on fire, this bush wasn't on fire, there was not even any smoke from this side. There was only a fire coming down the road here. But because the wind was coming from that direction, we were watering the roof. So we had ladders and stuff here to water the roof, and we tried to keep it wet. But then another fire came from this side, and with the wind blowing the way it was, it actually came at the house. That one went past the house, this one came towards the house. But once it starts burning, you just leave. So fortunately, they managed to get out. Got a few valuables, nothing, it's only once you leave that you realize what you left behind. But there's really nothing. There's nothing in the house. We've just been through it now, there's nothing.
Yeah, I saw Barry, you guys actually walking through trying to pick up, I think, a ring of Malcolm's wife and a necklace. But like you're saying, literally, we saw the bathrooms destroyed.
We found some spare keys on the floor. And just to show you how hot the fire was, these are safety boots. And that's from this morning. You can see how hot it is still in the house. It actually melted my safety boots. So the fire is still burning inside on the floor and everything. So the fire it's still very dangerous. So I would just say, if anybody wants to come and have a look at this thing, please stay away. It's very, very dangerous in there.
Now, you have obviously stayed here for years, and how does it feel now to actually witness such a devastating thing, especially obviously because you know Malcolm, and how does one pick up the pieces from this?
It's horrible. It's horrible. We were across the road from my house. I spoke to the guy across the road from me, and his house just disappeared. and it was still burning at 3 o'clock this morning, his house. And I mean, it's from, not even from here to that tree, from our house. And this fire that you can see, actually still see it smoking in the bushes here. This is the one that was worrying us, because it would come our side of the road. But fortunately, on the side of the road where I live, it's tiled roofs. You'll see it's like a Spanish style. And on this side, there's mostly thatched roofs. And it's the thatched roofs which are it's deadly. I mean, this Port Jackson, and you can see the leaves and the seed pods, they burn and they fly. And we were watching yesterday from the church, and this house burnt, and then the Nat house, and then about 3 houses further down just suddenly caught alight and started burning. But I also want to just want to commend the youngsters in this town. They worked and worked, and the firemen and the guys, you can't believe how they worked in the conditions that they worked in. You know, they were driving up with buckets full of water, and they were up on roofs and in the fire. It's unbelievable what they do, and they just get together and they do it. You know, it's just, you can't actually believe it when you watch it. You just can help. You can just help them, you know, feed them and give them water and stuff like that, and they just do what they do. But it's devastating. I mean, it's people. Look at this. They had all their family pictures, and they've got 2 sons. All that stuff is gone. You know, that's. What can you do? Just help what you can do, you know.
Yeah, and I saw just how brave you are. Like you're saying, your shoes are literally on fire. But you've been here. You've been here since the early morning trying to assist Malcolm. Like you're saying, it's such a tight community, and you're saying that people really have come together. And I think that's what can be commended. That despite the pain, that people have come together and just doing what they can to assist this family.
Yeah. No, the community here is. They've seen this before. You know. Unfortunately, the last fire was really, really bad. 70 something houses burnt out there, and that was, you can actually, if you see aerial pictures of that, it just goes in a line, it just goes straight through. So here you can see where it burnt. It just burns in a line depending on which way the wind blowing. So the main thing you worry about is that the wind will change direction. So where you're trying to monitor it, it suddenly switches direction and goes another way, you know. So the town is kind of used to that thing, but you never get used to everything disappearing in a fire, you know. Now we've seen, we were living in Cape Town for a while. We saw shack fires, townships just burning, and you look at that and you go, these guys had a shack, and they probably had a few small things that were like their things, and they're just gone, and they end up with absolutely nothing, not even clothes. They haven't even got clothes.
I see pretty emotional, Barry. It's obviously quite painful for you to experience it.
No, I mean, I don't even know what it would be like if it was my house, but I can feel their pain, you know. When you see just everything gone, you think to yourself, what would I do? I lay awake all night last night thinking, where do you start now, you know? How do you start? Start all over. And there's a lot of stuff you can't replace. So, yeah.
Well, that was Barry Platt, a resident from here in St. Francis Bay, who's been here since the early morning trying to assist the owner of this house, Malcolm White, whose house has been completely destroyed. But as he said, he's really commended the young people from this area, the brave firefighters who really have gone out of their way to make sure that make sure that the residents here are safe. But obviously, as you saw, he's very emotional, saying that even though this is the second biggest fire in this area, it's something that you don't get used to, and above all, the property that's destroyed, the valuable things that are destroyed, are things that nothing can ever bring back what has happened to their lives, and saying that from here on it's just trying to pick up the pieces, and obviously saying it's going to take a day at a time, but eventually after time things will go back to normal. But for now, it's back to you in studio.